The Nuke, the Snow Monster. Prologue. Alvin ran across the ice field towards the footpath, ignoring the painful stitch on his side. He wheeled his legs toward faster. His team were goal down, and it was getting dark. Soon everyone will return to the nomad's camp for dinner. The game will be over. If he could equalize, he reached the ball just a second ahead of the goalkeeper and put it wildly. It flew through the open goal in a shower of snow. "Yes," he yelled, and his team surrounded him, whooping with delight. "Your turn to get the ball," said the goalkeeper sulkily. He wasn't happy. There was no net in the goalpost, and Alvin kicked the ball so hard that it landed somewhere in the snow dunes behind the ice field. "You better be careful," said another boy. "Elders say there's snow panthers in the dunes." "Of course I'll be careful," Alvin grinned. He had lived in the icy north of Avantia all his life and knew the wintry white landscape like the back of his hand, ice fields, and frozen sea and lake. The snow dunes and the nomad's camp where he and his family lived. "There's nothing to be scared of," he thought. He ran to the edge of the ice field and scrambled up a snowy dune. From the top there was nothing to see but hard white landscape stretching out into the distance, glimmering in the evening light. Alvin shielded his eyes against the glare of the setting sun, but he couldn't see the ball anywhere. In the distance he heard his friends shouting and laughing as they made their way back to the camp. He skidded down the other side of the slope to a narrow icy path that wound between the snow dunes. There was the ball, but it had been squashed flat. He looked at it, puzzled. What had happened to it? Then he heard a different noise, a strange, high tinkling sound, like a bell. As Alvin gazed down at the ball, a shadow passed over him, a huge shadow. Suddenly, a feeling of dread, he looked up. A towering creature, 5 times his size, stood over him, rocking from side to side on his huge hind legs. Shaggy fur was thick and white. Blood-red eyes glared down at Alvin. Huge, curving ivory claws sliced the air. Drooling jaws snapped open, showing razor-sharp teeth. The beast wore a small brass bell on the chain about its neck, but the fur had been clawed away to reveal raw, pink flesh. Alvin was too scared even to scream. He tried to turn and run, but his legs become like jelly. Instead, he slipped and fell on his back. The monster stamped one massive paw down on the icy path. The shock would jarred every bone on Alvin's body. Panic-stricken, scrambled up, hurling himself to the side of the snow dune to get out of the beast's way. The monster's tail swiped against his side, tearing through his thick clothes into the flesh beneath. Alvin yelled with pain. He put a hand to his side and felt warm, sticky blood. Desperately, he scrambled up the dune. He could only get to the top in the side of the camp. He might be saved. Chapter 1. The Northern Quest begins. Of all the places our beast quest had taken us, Tom said, this must be the most amazing. He was still and stared out the icy wastes. They stretched into the distance as far as the eye could see, bright shimmering white under a sky of vivid blue. It was late afternoon and the sun was strong. "It's very bleak," Alina said, shivering, "but it's beautiful too." Her pet wolf, Silver, pressed up to her, his gray-furred, speckled with snowflakes and studded with tiny icicles. She hugged him, grateful for the warmth of his body against her legs. "I'll check the map and see how much further we have to go," Tom announced. He pulled a well-worn scroll that Wizard Utro had given him from his pocket. His stallion, Storm, stood like a cool black shadow against the whiteness all around. He gave a soft whinny as Tom patted his neck. Tom and Alina could not ride him on the ice fields. His hooves kept slipping on the snow and ice, so their journey had been slow. Be close to the northmost edge of Aventia. It must be nearby at the end of the trail. Tom pointed to the red glowing path on the map that showed them the route. This was no ordinary map. It had magical powers, and had given to Tom by Wizard Udra, a special advisor to the king. The map had already guided Tom and Alina to 4 different places on their secret quest to get rid of the kingdom of the deadly threat of the beasts. Almost like Tom had heard stories of the beasts, legendary creatures that dwelled in the deepest corners of the kingdom, protecting Aventia and helping him to propose it. When he was a small child growing up with his aunt and uncle, he used to think they were fairy tales. He certainly never met a beast. But then he'd never laid eyes on his father's skeleton either. Tom still wondered if he ever met his father, but at least he knew now the beasts were real. Marvel, the dark wizard, had enslaved them with an evil curse. He was using them to spread terror and destruction across the land. One special person had to take on the quest to free the beasts and save the kingdom from ruin. King Hugo and Wizard Udra had chosen Tom. He was determined not to let them down. He had to set off with only Storm, his sword and shield for own protection. But he had met Alina and Silver. They joined him on his quest. Without them, Tom knew he would never have made it this far. Together they had freed 4 beasts from Marvel's curse. Now they were in search of the 5th, the nuke snow monster. Many of the rare herbs used in Aventia's medicine grew only in the icy northern plains, but without Nanook's protection, the nomads that lived there could not grow or gather them. Slowly, the kingdom was running out of medicine. Tom knew they had to find the snow monster and free her. While there's blood in my veins, he thought, I will not give up. We'd better get going, said Alina, studying the map over his shoulder. She pointed to a small cluster of tiny tents, which stood up from parchment, quivering slightly in the breeze. Looks as if there's no man's campus nearby. Perhaps we can stay night there. I'm so tired I could sleep standing up. Me too, said Tom. Let's go. As they set off across the ice once more, Tom leading Storm by his bridle, Alina and Silver followed. Following, a sharp gust of wind blew suddenly, making them all shiver. Tom quickened his step. Come on, and the sooner we'll somehow dry and warm, the better. And Silver stopped and bowed twice loudly. Alina crushed beside. What's wrong, boy? She asked. Tom saw the wolf's eyes narrow. A growl was building in the back of his throat. Perhaps we can say something, Tom said. The wolf was often the first to smell danger. A stronger blast of wind whipped at their clothes. This time it didn't die down. The minutes it was screaming towards them. Tiny shreds of snow and ice stung their skin. Don't tell me it's a snowstorm. Snowstorm building up, Alina yelled over the wind. A moment ago the skies were clear blue and sunny. Not anymore, Tom shouted. Now the skies overhead was dark gray and wild with driving snow. We must keep going and reach that camp. But with the snow blotted out the snow and cloud, he suddenly realized they had no way of getting their bearings. The map was useless. I think it was this way, said Tom, turning into the thick gray and white haze, trying not to panic. Could barely keep his eyes open for the sneeze still. Or was it the other way? I'm not sure, said Amina. The stronger refused around them. But we'll have to find shelter quickly, or we won't stand a chance in this blizzard.